Text 7, number 7. Mata parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya Mayi sarvamidam protang Sutre manigana iva O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. But there is a common controversy over whether the Supreme Absolute Truth is personal or impersonal. As far as Bhagavad Gita is concerned, the Absolute Truth is the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, and this is confirmed in every step. In this verse in particular, it is stressed that the Absolute Truth is a person. That the personality of Godhead is the Supreme Absolute Truth is also the affirmation of the Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. That is, the Supreme Absolute Truth, personality of Godhead is Lord Krishna, who is the primeval Lord, the reservoir of all pleasure, Govinda, and the eternal form of complete bliss and knowledge. These authorities leave no doubt that the Absolute Truth is the Supreme Person, the cause of all causes. The impersonalist, however, argues on the strength of the Vedic version given in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Tato yad uttaratarang tad arupam anamayam ya etad vidur amritas te bhavanti athetare dukam eva piyanti. In the material world, Brahma, the primeval living entity within the universe, is understood to be the supreme amongst the demigods, human beings and lower animals. But beyond Brahma there is the transcendence, who has no material form and is free from all material contaminations. Anyone who can know him also becomes transcendental, but those who do not know him suffer the miseries of the material world. The impersonalist puts more stress on the word arupam, but this arupam is not impersonal. It indicates the transcendental form of eternity, bliss and knowledge as described in the Brahma Samhita quoted above. Other verses in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad substantiate this as follows. Vedaham etang parushang mahantam adityavanang tamasah parastat tameva vidvanati mrityameti nanyah pantha vidyate yanaya yasmat parang na paramasti kinchit yasman naniyo no jayosti kinchit vriksha eva stabdho divi tishtatyekas tenedam purnam purushena sarvam. I know that Supreme Personality of Godhead who is transcendental to all material conceptions of darkness. Only he who knows him can transcend the bonds of birth and death. There is no way for liberation other than this knowledge of that Supreme Person. There is no truth superior to that Supreme Person because he is the supermost. He is smaller than the smallest and he is greater than the greatest. He is situated as a silent tree and he illumines the transcendental sky, and as a tree spreads its roots, he spreads his extensive energies. From these verses one concludes that the Supreme Absolute Truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is all-pervading by his multi-energies, both material and spiritual. Nata parataram namyat kinchidasti dhananjaya Mayi sarvamidang protang sutre manigana iva. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me, as pearls are strung on a thread. A disciples meeting, discussing Bhagavad Gita as it is. I don't get to see most of you much of the time. There's one thing that I should say, it is that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is a topic of discussion. What should a guru teach his disciples? That Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada was repeatedly stressing. We see so many things. We hear so many things. Constantly, the senses are interacting with the sense objects. But unless we regularly hear from Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then we'll see all these things, but we won't see Krishna. Krishna is everywhere. Ayata tamidam sarvam jagada vyakta murtina matsthani sarva bhutani nacham veshvasi. Krishna says, I'm everywhere, everything is in me, still I'm apart from everything. So Krishna is everywhere, but we can't see Krishna unless we see Krishna. Unless we see him through the eyes of Shastra. If we don't see Krishna, we see Maya. Otherwise we're seeing, everyone is seeing. And we take this world to be reality. Actually, our conception is formed more by hearing than by seeing. Is it not? How do we see this world? How do we understand it? Our conception is, or our worldview is formed more by hearing than by seeing. We see so many things, but what do we understand about this? That depends upon hearing. Different people have different outlooks and different philosophies, and scientists may say this is all coming into being by chance. There are theists who say that God made the world in 6 days. They have different ideas. See through some kind of quantum theory, you'll see that everything is all simply energy. It's all everything's just a big, it's real. All these forms you see, they don't exist. Everything is simply energy. One of the ways of interpreting quantum theory, so we're told. So depending on what we hear, we understand what we see. There are people walking around thinking, I am God, I have created everything. They've heard such ideas, or they've imagined such ideas in their minds. Or they're walking around in a haze thinking that nothing is real, nothing exists. There's so many ideas. So hearing is so much important to get what is actually the right idea, which is given by Krishna himself, Bhagavad Gita. That he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes. And if we hear regularly from Shastra, then we'll understand. Krishna is supreme. We'll see Krishna everywhere and in everything. Seeing by hearing. Shrutikshita path. It's mentioned in Bhagavatam, the path of seeing by hearing. If we hear regularly from Shastra, then we see Krishna everywhere and in everything. Just like Prabhupada was once asked, what does it mean to see Krishna everywhere? When you see a tree, do you see Krishna standing inside the tree? Or what is that? You see the tree manifest as Krishna. Prabhupada said, I see this Krishna's tree. Krishna's made this tree. This is Krishna's tree. Krishna is the cause of this tree's existence. Everything is caused by Krishna. Seeing through Shastra helps us to see Krishna everywhere and in everything. Yomam pashyati sarvatra, Krishna says, who sees me everywhere. Sarvam cha mai pashyati, and me and everything. Tasyaham na pranashyami, sacha me na pranashyati. Such a person he's never lost. I never forget him and he never forgets me. So that is the art of Krishna consciousness, seeing Krishna everywhere and in everything, which depends first of all upon hearing about Krishna. And then cultivating what we hear about Krishna by the process of sadhana bhakti, of which hearing is the first function. And there are other functions. Hearing and chanting are the two most important functions by which we can Krishna conscious, which is the aim of the Krishna conscious movement, is what? To be Krishna conscious. It's a self-evident statement. Krishna conscious movement is meant for being Krishna conscious. So first, that understanding is there that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the important principle. There are so many principles of existence. There is the physical cause of the universe. Within sociology we can study the different peer groups, and then within science we can understand there are different energies working. There's so many different ways we can see the universe, but the root cause of everything is Krishna. He is the Supreme Personality. So that is Krishna consciousness, to understand the most important thing. Other things, they may have relative importance, but compared to Krishna consciousness, they're actually not very important. Other things, they may have importance in relationship with Krishna. And not in relationship with Krishna, then all useless. As Prabhupada often said, so many zeros. If we add Krishna, it may be useful. But the zeros themselves are actually not required. The one is required, Krishna. So this is the cultivation of Krishna consciousness. To understand this actually very simple fact, it's not intellectually very difficult to understand, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and we're all His eternal servants. But it's difficult to understand because our intellect or our consciousness is polluted by the different way of thinking, that I am the important principle within the universe. The most important thing is me, what I want. Or that may be extended to some kind of humanism, we should be good to all, or now they have this ecological consciousness, be kind to the whales, look after the earth nicely, and all these things. But without Krishna, then, again, meaningless. Looking after the earth, so we can live here peacefully and happily and nicely. It's another meaningless foolishness. So Krishna is the center of it. So Krishna consciousness means simply realizing the plain fact that Krishna is the center of everything. He is the meaning of everything. And our lives, they only have meaning if Krishna is in the center. So many people nowadays, they're feeling this hopelessness, depression, meaninglessness in their lives. You're also seeing as a doctor, so many people, doctors, social workers, they deal with these things. And so many people feel like that, but they don't express it. They'll be going on through their lives. And they're feeling like that, and then they have some kind of crisis in their lives, and they maybe go to a doctor or to some kind of guru. If they're lucky, they'll go to a Krishna conscious guru. Otherwise, they may go to some bogus fellow. Or take some therapy, or maybe you give them some drugs, or something like this. Actually, everyone is looking for Krishna. People are feeling life is meaningless. Well, it's good if they're feeling like that. Sometimes people come to me and say, I'm feeling very frustrated. I say, it's good. That's a good start. If you're feeling contented, then you have a problem. Because life is miserable. So if you're feeling frustrated, that's the beginning of understanding that life is useless and meaningless without Krishna. And we have to supply. What are you feeling meaninglessness, or what is it that you are missing? You're missing Krishna. So this is the simple fact to understand. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and life is meant for understanding Krishna. There's so many things to do in this world. Play basketball, swim in the sea, play chess, you can listen to music, so many different kinds of jobs. You can get absorbed in so many things, reading books, novels, computer programming. That's one kind of intoxication. I'm seeing among the middle class, it's big craze. Everyone's doing computers. They'll be working literally, many people working literally 18 hours or more on a regular basis. Literally, they go on eating at work. They're just forgotten what they're doing. They're just looking at the computer now. So there are so many things we can do in this world, but it's all useless and meaningless without Krishna. So therefore, to cultivate Krishna consciousness, cultivation. Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam. You have to cultivate Krishna consciousness, follow the process of sadhana bhakti. You've heard that before? I hope so. Go on, you have Because sometimes we may think it's easier not to do. Well, it is. It is easier. It appears easier not to do it, but then we don't get Krishna. There's a means to get Krishna. And that is by following the process of sadhana bhakti. But if we don't follow, then we don't get the result. So we should drink, chanting, serving, cultivating Krishna consciousness, being very careful of Maya, which is just as Krishna is all-pervading, so in this material world, Maya is also all-pervading. Maya is everywhere. So we always have to choose between Krishna and Maya. So better to choose Krishna. Because why is it better to choose Krishna? Well, we can say that we will be more satisfied. There's an even better reason that Krishna will be more satisfied. Krishna is not happy when he sees us choosing Maya. And naturally we won't be happy also. So better to understand this. Wherever we go, whatever we do, whatever we see, we always have to remember Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And anything outside of that, any understanding outside that understanding is simply the cause of misfortune. And also an important point, which is more important to stress in the particular time we're living in, and maybe more so in this particular area that you are living in, is that we have to understand Krishna through the bona fide Premantura source, because there are so many strange ideas being circulated, which are actually very inauspicious. Anything which is not coming in the bona fide Premantura, that means it's a distortion, and it will distort our proper understanding of Krishna consciousness. So these are all very clear, straightforward things to understand, which I think we can all understand. The process of Krishna consciousness, as I said many times, it's very straightforward, clear. We don't have to invent anything. We simply have to follow the process given by the Acharyas, presented by Srila Prabhupada, understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the Supreme Enjoyer. We are not the enjoyers. We are the enjoyed. I was quoting that from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. We don't eat Krishna Prasad. Prasad is not the object of our enjoyment, but we are to be enjoyed. We don't see the deity, rather we present ourselves to be seen by the deity. So this is Krishna consciousness. To understand ourselves as parts and parcels of Krishna. That our position is just like there are so many planets circling around. According to Vedic cosmology, they all go around the Dhruva Loka. There is Vishnu staying on Dhruva Loka. So that is our position. Our position is to move in relationship with Krishna, not to try to become independent of Krishna. So it's a simple philosophy. Somehow we have various ways of redefining it. So better not redefine it, because the way Krishna has given it, he's given the right understanding. So better we take what Krishna has told. Better not to try to be more intelligent than Krishna. So Hare Krishna. These are the basics of Krishna consciousness. Please study Bhagavad Gita as it is, Srimad Bhagavatam and all of Prabhupada's books. Hare Krishna. Any questions about this? Can you understand? I mean, can you understand the English? Follow this. Alright, any questions about this?
When I often ask myself when I speak with the other people, how can I present them Krishna? How can I present them that if they know Krishna, then they will be happy? And there are lots of examples like you have heard that in India, when Sri Prabhupada was staying in one family, and he asked them for milk, and then when he received the milk, then he asked them where is cheese, and then they replied to him that you get cheese only through the process. When you speak to people about Krishna and about the God and how can they relate to God, and they can't understand that, and which way we can simply explain to them what is God and how can they...
You can simply explain everything has a cause, nothing comes into being by chance. So the supreme cause is Krishna. Everything in the universe works. It goes on according to laws, so there must be a lawmaker. It's a simple thing. How can they deny?
The problem is that when he's telling them about Lord and about everything, they don't understand. How can we make them to listen us? That is,
yeah, well, for that reason, we usually recommend for general preaching that we distribute Prabhupada's books and give prasadam, because we can't expect that we'll just walk up to people on the street and start preaching to people and their whole lives will change. Lord Nityananda did that, but we're not Lord Nityananda. So it's better to distribute Prabhupada's books. And by doing that, then gradually people's understanding changes, and some people, upon reading, their lives will radically change. By distributing Prabhupada's books, we see that within society as a whole, there's a general awakening of Krishna consciousness, and that some particular individuals, by reading the books, their whole lives change. Just like devotees were telling me, they were distributing books in Croatia, and every year they'd find people's understanding was better. When they were first distributing, no one had any idea about karma or reincarnation. But then after distributing so many books, then people, they accept that, they understand that. You noticed?
Yeah.
Well, my Vyasa Puja offering, I made one the year before, and it's the same situation. So I didn't feel so much like doing it. Same situation means that from within our movement there's direct minimization and criticism of Prabhupada is going on, and it's not being stopped. And I just don't feel like making Vyasa Puja, official Vyasa Puja offering in such a situation. You may not be directly hearing about this, but you're getting it indirectly. I mean, there's so many people going around and saying so many bogus things. So, that's why. I don't like to discuss too much about this. It's very distressing actually, but you may come across people who say that Prabhupada made mistakes and this and that, but it may seem very logical to them, but this kind of thing is going to kill your devotion. So better don't listen to such things. Made mistakes means, just like Prabhupada may have said, who is that? He thought he recognized someone else. Who is that? Hayagriva? No, someone else. He chastised Harishori Prabhu once that, why were you speaking with that woman? You're a brahmachari. He said, actually, he'd been with Prabhupada for some time. He said, actually, I'm married. Then Tamal Krishna Maharaj explained, actually, he's married Prabhupada. He'd been with Prabhupada as his servant for a few months. He was in white, but he never mentioned about his wife. So Prabhupada thought he was a brahmachari. So then Prabhupada said, oh, right, that's all right. But to say that Prabhupada had a misunderstanding of Shastra, he didn't understand how to present to us, or the Shastra is wrong, so many bad things. If we hear such things, then it's very bad to hear such things. It will spoil our Krishna consciousness. So, in the present time in our society, there's a mood of, supposed to be a mood of great openness, that we listen to everyone's opinion, and everyone's opinion is okay, and we shouldn't be too judgmental and all these things. But to respect others' opinion, that's all right. But actually, it's not all right. We respect Krishna's opinion. We respect what's in Shastra. Not just that everyone can say whatever they like. But even if you have an open-minded attitude, there have to be some limits. Criticizing Prabhupada is beyond the limit, far, far beyond the limit. So, Hare Krishna. Some other point came up, since several of you have asked me about that, because Saraswati wrote to me about reading Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj's books. I think you mentioned one, was it Spiritual Warrior or something? Because I'd said that, seeing that people are reading so many things and becoming confused, that I'd said that it's better, before you read anything, better you ask me first. I got this idea actually from Shivaram Maharaj, who told his disciples which books they shouldn't read. He told me, even there's this book, Ananda Vrindavan Champu by Kavi Karnapur, which is it's a bona fide Gaudiya Vaishnava book. which is translated in English now. But Govinda Maharaj told that one of his disciples had written to him that he felt his mind so much disturbed upon reading that. I also read the whole book. It was actually very beautiful in many ways, but what's the value if your mind becomes disturbed? Actually, these intimate pastimes, they're not meant for everyone to read. People say, well, it's a bona fide book, but you have to understand that previously, books were copied by hand. And if you wanted to read a book, it was not that you just print a book and then you go and sell it here and there and everywhere. It was quite an endeavor to make a book. And if you wanted to study any book, you had to, first of all, take your guru's permission. That was the system. Generally, you'd study under the guidance of the guru, personally. He would teach you what you need to know. And then if you wanted to, either he'd order you or you would take permission. So that's a good principle, especially in the modern age when there's so many bogus books coming out. So then I'd written this on that VVK Sangha, that if you want to read different books, better ask me first what I recommend and what I don't. So Saraswati had asked about this spiritual warrior. So I wrote back that I don't recommend this for you, and I think that's gone around all of you, and so you're asking me why. Well, here's the reason why. I looked through it, I didn't read it some time ago. Maharaj gave me a copy, I think, of number 1 or whatever it was. And he explained to me that the idea of this book is to reach out to New Age people and to attract their attention and then gradually bring them into Krishna consciousness. But it's not, the book itself is not directly Krishna consciousness. You'll hardly find anything about Krishna or even the name of Krishna there. So, then why read it? If it's to gradually bring you to Krishna consciousness, you already came. So better read Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. That's all. It's a book with a very specific purpose. And of course Maharaj is having some success in preaching in that way, but he has a whole, in America, he has a whole system that people, they write and then they go to seminars and then they gradually introduce Krishna consciousness. And for common people it gives some idea of sub-religious principles, morality. There's one chapter, I didn't read that, someone was telling me, it starts off by saying that yes, sex is wonderful and it's God's gift and all this, but it starts off like this. But by the end of the chapter he's saying that illicit sex is wrong and you have to have one partner and it causes so much suffering if you... So he's like gradually introducing the subject matter. But as I wrote, for you, there's no need. Better you study Gita, Bhagavatam. There are many other good books also, apart from Prabhupada's books. I just read a book by Sahotra Maharaj, which is very, very interesting. Actually, to save me carrying it, this is from the library in Prague. Maybe you can read it while you're traveling. It's a little tough, but what do you expect? It's Sahotra Maharaj. He writes philosophical books. So, there are many good books. Another good book I very much read, the Prabhupada Lilamrita is wonderful. You should all read that. 6 volumes. I think that one book I was going to say, but you probably wouldn't get it, and anyways it'll be difficult for you because it's very deeply philosophical, and most of you the English will be difficult. But Shivaram Maharaj's books on explaining why Prabhupada's purports to Bhagavad Gita are Bhagavad Gita as it is, because some so-called scholars, they protest that this is not correct. Also Shivaram Maharaj's books, he's written books on Krishna Leela, which are very nice. If you get that. He's taken from many different sources, but he's presented it, but without giving the very intimate pastimes which are they're not meant for devotees at our level. They're very, very intimate. So like that, there are different books. But there are so many books coming up. I don't know how many books we could all read. So it's good to... Our basic subject is Gita and Bhagavata. That we should study regularly, again and again.
What about Govinda's songs? They are quite popular.
Yeah, but quite honestly, I see people that... Well, I don't know, it may not be everybody, but I've seen some people, they become quite confused by reading that. Well, in particular, there was one person who was like... Again, I think we have to see everything in perspective. I don't know, I haven't read it, I've seen some of his books. But, there was one... There's one person who was quite confused. He'd read something about... No, there were two things. One thing is that it's no use to listen to cassettes. He got from one of Govinda Maharaj's books. You have to... But then someone showed me that quote, and they were saying that it's... Shabda Brahma you can't get from cassettes, you have to hear from a living person. So my understanding of that is that he was saying that it's not enough just to listen to cassettes. But you have to also submit to a guru. And then there was something else like, someone was saying that there was something he'd read about, you have to accept only a Mahabhagavad Guru. And then upon reading that, then he decided that none of the gurus in ISKCON were good enough for him. So I don't know, I haven't read some of the things I've seen are nice. But again, we have to see it in perspective. Just like I was saying in the class this morning, there is Rasa Tattva, and that is the actual subject matter, but we have to understand it on a very strong philosophical platform. If we're only interested, we say, I'm only interested in rasa, then we tend to become imbalanced. Because we see Prabhupada, he was always discussing philosophy. Not that Govinda Maharaj wasn't philosophical. But practically speaking, I see most of his disciples, even though he said to stay in ISKCON, after he left, they all left ISKCON. They mostly became disciples of Narayan Maharaj. So we have to keep a balance. You may say, what's wrong with becoming a disciple of Narayan Maharaj? Well, his perspective is quite different from that of Prabhupada. Even though he says he is the successor of Prabhupada. But in practically speaking, his presentation is more like that of the Sahajiyas. I've personally seen him telling in a public assembly, telling that you should all follow Raganuga Bhakti, which is, again, it's quite different from what Prabhupada taught, step by step. So many people may say so many things. I trust Prabhupada. And others, they may be great Vaishnavas, but personally I can't put my trust in them in the same way I can put my trust in Prabhupada. So I feel very safe and confident following the path that Prabhupada gave us. And others may say that, well, now we have to go to higher realizations, but Prabhupada didn't give us the highest realization. Prabhupada himself, when others said that, he didn't accept that. So better remain sane. Don't try to become someone. On the one hand, we see people are talking about higher realizations. On the other hand, we see they can't even follow the regulated principles. Can't even chant 16 rounds. So what is that? What does that become? If you talk about big high things, rasa, tattva and so many things, you can't even follow any basic sadhana. What is that? That's sahaja. That's all. It's just an imagination that they become so advanced. So there will be more and more sahajis. Because it's sahaj, easy. You simply imagine that you're advanced. But it's imagination, it's not real.
I heard about some Mathyavatar Prabhu.
Heard about what?
Mathyavatar Prabhu in Italy. He opened Bhaktivedanta University. We have three basic studies in this university about Vedic literature, Vedic psychology and archaeology, including the architecture. And one can finish these studies with internet. You don't have to go to Italy.
You can do it by correspondence.
Yes. And after, I think 4 years, one have a title of Doctor of Vedic Studies. So what do you think if we have some job or for example, I'm studying architecture. What do you think about if I can go through this?
It sounds good. I didn't hear about it before. I'd have to check it up with some other devotees. It sounds very good, yeah. There are good programs in ISKCON developing more and more different educational programs. So that's good.
I talked with the director of my university, and Mathyavatar will come to my university. They'll have some.
He will?
Yeah, some lectures about that.
He was scheduled to do that?
I think in December that he will come.
Oh, that's nice.
His disciples came to Sarajevo.
He has disciples, Mathyavatar?
Well, 20.
Oh, that's good.
He didn't initiate anything. Not yet. I think the GBC made him a spiritual master not so long ago. And I thought that it might be good if I could continue. If he starts with these lectures, then I can continue and I finish with my studies.
Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah.
May I ask you what's your opinion about Ashtarata Prabhu?
Ashtarata is a rascal.
Yes, many followers.
Let's be straightforward. Anyone who rejects Prabhupada after being initiated by him is a rascal. He may be, we know that his behavior is nice and gentle and this and that, but he rejected Prabhupada. Finished. We don't want to see his face. Many followers there, unfortunately. Let's be clear. Let's not be sentimental. How can you do that? What a rascal thing to do. Many followers all going around saying Prabhupada is wrong, rascals. None of them could have had any idea about Krishna if it wasn't for Prabhupada. Anyway, there's no need to discuss more. It's clear. If it's not clear, then you have a big problem. That's it. You going to ask something?
I was there in London. There is many people who come from different Gaudiya groups and gurus, and then we're trying to make very strict policy that they can come only if they don't preach. And I was thinking, like, I don't understand. I would like to understand better. How is that they're all like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati disciples and Srila Prabhupada? And why is it such a big difference? Like it seems like there is some difference in philosophy, not just big, but still can make
philosophical difference.
I'm not sure what's the problem. Why?
Philosophical. Well, Narayan Maharaj, he's different. I mean, he's like on this like raga.
But he's not Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati.
No, he's not Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's disciple, and practically he's not even following his own Guru Maharaj, who didn't want him to get into all this stuff which he got from Babaji's, apparently. No, philosophically, there's no difference, or there may be some very minor differences. I mean, even in ISKCON there are different opinions about philosophy. Gauriya Math, why we restrict? Because it's more a personal thing. Because mostly they come around and they say, we're going to give you something better or higher, and they take people away and they initiate them before they have a chat. Even by trickery, there are many instances. They say, would you like a spiritual name? Yes. Okay, your name is okay. Now you're initiated. They seem to be like overly eager to initiate people, without any program for training or guidance, and by the hard work of Prabhupada's followers, they take people away. Of course, it could be said that in some ways they take away less serious people. So there are different ways to look at it. I mean, another thing is that our preaching has expanded so much that practically we can't keep up with so many people are coming, and we can't tend to them all. So maybe if they can guide some people, that would be good. But on the whole, their modus operandi is to. I mean, they generally don't do their own preaching. They just come to ISKCON and then they take people away, which is, it's not very good. And why should we encourage that? I mean, we want people to join Prabhupada's movement and appreciate Prabhupada, which they also, they don't have that much. They'll say, yes, we like Prabhupada just to catch people. But then they won't, we want people to join Prabhupada's movement, study Prabhupada's books and distribute his books. We'll have to see how things go on in future. But
I heard from one person that, for example, Narayan Swami's disciples, they distribute also Prabhupada's books, like Krishna books, and then they don't want to, I don't know, they somehow cover this where it's written ISKCON or something. I heard that. When they give out Prabhupada's Krishna books, they cover, place where it's written ISKCON.
Oh, it may be. It may be.
If I can ask one more thing, maybe it's not nice just to discuss, but just I heard, so just pollutes my mind. I would like if you can clarify this. Also, one person who became very close to this Narayan Swami disciple said once,
actually, his name is not Narayan Swami, it's Narayan Maharaj. You could say Swami Narayan Maharaj. But Narayan Maharaj is not Narayan Swami, just as a technicality.
So that person told me that I don't know much about that. It's in one period, some of our present gurus, they had
they built him up.
And
they built him up. Otherwise, he was sitting in Mathura. No one in ISKCON knew about him. Some of our leaders went there. They made him well known in ISKCON. I sent a letter to the GBC at that time and said, this is very dangerous. All this talk of Raganuga Bhajan, it's very dangerous. It's going to cause a big problem. And that was a few years ago. Anyway, they didn't accept the letter. They said I was a rascal and a hypocrite and so many things. I told, this is going to create a big problem. I mean, to me, it's like, you're driving a car right towards a wall. Isn't it obvious you're going to have a big problem very soon? You're going to get smashed. So it's, we're talking all this Raganuga, building up Narayan Maharaj and so many things. It's just completely obvious to me that you're driving a car straight at a wall. But I don't know. Anyway, now they understand.
Yeah, what should be our attitude to other gurus in ISKCON who have maybe different attitude or opinion than you have.
Well, we should respect them. We can't expect everyone to have the same outlook. But practically speaking, I'm seeing that although I'm considered a fundamentalist or a fanatic or whatever different people say, that my disciples who follow in the way that I instruct them to follow, to take Krishna consciousness very seriously, and they seem to be doing quite well. I think you wrote to me like that, some letter some time ago. You wrote some time ago saying that you couldn't understand. Was it you who wrote like that? Yes. You couldn't understand. You thought I was very heavy and all this. But then later, when you saw the whole situation in Croatia, that it's most of the devotees, they're just chant if you feel like it, follow something if you feel like it. So when you saw that because I was quite strong on insisting we should follow everything, so you could understand that was helpful. Then who else? Someone else had their hand.
I want to ask you, I heard some opinion that it's
so many opinions. It's good to read Prabhupada's books. It's just like in Bengal. So many people say, Oneke bole. It means many people say. As soon as people say that, I would immediately stop. I wouldn't even listen to the question. I'd immediately stop. Many people say, but what does Krishna say? What does Shastra say? I wouldn't even take the question. Stop them after those 2 words. In English it comes out as 3 words. Many people say. Stop right there. Not vox populi, vox Dei. Not the word, not the opinion of the people. What is the opinion of God? That is, anyway, you heard some opinion.
If they give donations in some temples, and the authorities from this temple misuse this money, that we are participating in this misusing. Is it true or?
Well, if you happen to know that the money will be taken out of the box and used for intoxication, illicit sex, meeting or gambling, then it's better not to put the money in. But you see, misuse, there are different kinds of misuse. One may be corruption. Another kind may be misspending due to inexperience or poor management. Or another kind may be that we see, anyone can say misspending, but you may not know what the actual situation is. I mean, practically in any institution, whether it's a big corporation or whatever it is, you could say that the money could be spent better, the management could be done better. But then if no one puts any money in, then you see the deities, they don't get fed and they don't get clothed. So, in the name of money being misspent, just like I see in Ljubljana when there's a big temple, there's a big congregation, but people are not giving donations, and the deities, they're not dressed properly and they're probably not fed properly. So, that's understood that some money may go here and there, but you have to see that deities are looked after. I wouldn't stop all donations just because maybe the management isn't perfect, but still they have to look after the deities, and also the devotees who are living in the temple. If they're sacrificing to live in the temple, they also require some maintenance.
Often devotees say if their deities they grow bigger, they grow fatter, now they're fatter, now they're smaller.
What, sorry?
But often devotees who have deities at say for the deities. Now they grow faster, and now they're tiny, now they're smiling, now they're sad.
Now they're this and now they're that, and now I'm fed up, I'm giving them to someone else. Isn't it? Someone says, oh, Krishna came into my life. Someone gave like it's a transcendental leela. Or actually the person, they just, they have no devotion and they took the deities and now I felt I have to give these deities to you. Actually, if you worship deities, you have to worship throughout your life. And then when you can no longer worship, when you're old, then you turn over to someone else, which would usually be your son or your disciple. But here we see people, they sentimentally worship for 3 or 4 months and then they give to someone else. So that's not proper. And deities, they get moved from one place to another. It may be that happens. That experience was there in London some years. I was there at that time. They were just feeding the deities very little, and then they started feeding so much, and then they had to make all new outfits. Everyone could see. Krishna put on weight. So maybe. Different standard means any living entity that comes within the range of my vision, I should initiate. No. Sometimes he would give initiation to people just for the asking. But generally they would come in and then they'd be recommended by someone. It's more like the Bengali village guru style. They're collecting many followers. But what's the meaning? They don't follow any principles. And you may say it's so much mercy, but it's not actually mercy. If it doesn't elevate the person, and the person himself won't take it very seriously if there's no particular standard. Well, they're serious enough about it that they want to come around ISKCON and take people away to give it to them. Why do they do that? There's something wrong there. This business of coming around ISKCON temples and taking people away, isn't it? Doesn't it seem like they're trying to increase the number of their followers more artificially? I mean, do they really think they can benefit them more? Are they really thinking of the benefit of the people that they're giving Harinam to? Is that their prime motive? It's happening all the time. They were living in the temple. It's not even proper. I mean, it's against any proper Vaishnava etiquette also. If you're already in one institution and hearing from them, I mean, if someone was in a Mayavadi institution and you took them away, that's one thing. Anyway, I don't know what their outlook is. But it doesn't seem right. I don't think Prabhupada would be very happy with this. Of course, you could say Prabhupada might not be very happy with the situation in our movement overall. But the solution is not that they all go off to Gauriya Math and this and that. I really don't see how they benefit them that much by, what's their program? They get initiation and then what? They offer them any satsang or guidance or training and take more people away. Yeah, the whole atmosphere has become very cheapened. You know, you live at home and you maybe chant, maybe not chant, and maybe do something and maybe don't, and maybe follow something and maybe don't. And you're initiated and you're a devotee, and it's all the same, and don't criticize. And you have visions. Hare Krishna. But actually, this kind of initiation will simply create a problem for you. You'll get all these nonsense people. Just like there was one disciple of Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, he was making so much propaganda against ISKCON in the newspapers in Croatia and Slovenia. That was about, 2 years ago? Huh? Was it mostly in Slovenia? And then now there's this so-called Gopal Prem, who's initiated by Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Maharaj. You see, if he didn't just initiate him on the spot, then he'd find out something about him before he initiates him, then he wouldn't have...
I heard that two of his disciples, for a few days, was in darshan with Jakataka Swami, and they suggested to Jakataka about it.
It sounds something like Paundraka sending his messenger to Krishna. That you should give up your symbols of the club, the lotus, and you're the imitation Vasudev. You should recognize the real Vasudev. And the members of the Yadu dynasty, they simply laughed. And Krishna said, yes, I will give up my chakra. I will give it up to Paundraka. I will give him my chakra to cut his neck. It's a joke. These things, they'll come and go. Just like that guy was there, 2 years ago, he's making some propaganda. So much propaganda in the newspaper and everything. And where is he now? You hear anything about him now? He's still... Anyway, it's disturbed times. We have to go on. This faith, Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. Now, seeing various things, my general or my long-term response is myself writing books. So I have a lot of work to do in writing. This book, Vaishnava etiquette book, which will take some time more still, that will have some effect. That will delineate what actual standards are supposed to be. They'll take. I haven't been finishing my book. I'll tell you, the last year I've done a lot of work on the Bhaktisiddhanta book, which I thought would be finished a year ago. But then I sent it to one devotee for proofreading, and he suggested doing a re-edit, and his re-editing it's been an incredible job. I have 2,600 email exchanges with him now. And most of them, they're not just individual points of editing, most of them are big chunks of manuscripts which we send backwards and forwards. We're discussing different ways, very finely tuning, it'll make the book much better, actually. Just like I was reading this book of Sahotra Maharaj, which is very nice reading, but there are actually quite a lot of typographical mistakes and mistakes in the Sanskrit and Bengali. So, hopefully, definitely in every book there'll be some mistakes, but this book will be much better. If you saw some of my previous books, that Jai Srila Prabhupada especially, there are a lot of mistakes in that. So this time, that's going to be reprinted fairly soon. It's ready for reprint. It just needs laying out. That also I was working on. No, there wasn't much work to do, but I was mostly preoccupied with this Bhaktisiddhanta book. So then, when I get back to India, and when I've cleared the pending things I have to do there, I want to finish off this Vaishnava etiquette and behavior book. And then I have some other projects, a book on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and a few other things I have to finish. It takes a lot of time. But I didn't want to come this year actually without, I thought I must bring this Bhaktisiddhanta book because every year I'm saying it. I really thought it was going to happen this year, but somehow it didn't happen. It's always one thing after another. I mean, it's not that I'm not working. Like I said, there's 2,600 email exchanges. And most of them, I would guess there's an average of about 30 or 40 editing questions well, not in each one, but in at least half of them. So you can understand, we're getting into it in very fine detail there. So that Vice of Etiquette book I have to spend time on, but I have to cut down on other things, which is why you see. Actually, I'm spending 2 months in Europe this year. But I'm thinking next year I'll just attend a few festivals, and that may be it, because I have to concentrate on my writing. Maybe I'll spend in Croatia maybe 3 days at this festival, and then maybe 3 days in Liga, either before or after that. Something like that. Let's see. But another thing is that now, at least for this year and into half of next year, there's preaching on TV, Hindi Bhagavad Gita lectures, which they must be shooting in Bombay now. I'm missing that now. But I'm supposed to go every month to Bombay and be there for 3 days. And myself and others, but I'm the one white speaker, which is it's a big thing that people see. The white man speaking, giving Bhagavad Gita lectures in Hindi. So it has a very big effect. I mean everywhere, even from the old series, which is on Sony TV, which is quite well distributed. Wherever I go, even now, people I saw you on TV. But this TV channel which we're doing now, it's the biggest. It's a huge viewership, literally hundreds of millions of people. It must be one of the most, even in terms of world viewers, I mean in terms of TV channels in the world, it must be one of the top ones, because it's the top Hindi channel. Now there's TVs in every home, in every village, which is mainly having a bad effect. But anyway, this is very big preaching, so. But there will be 2 months, if we go on with this, there will be 2 months every year in the summer free, because what they do, they shoot 1 month's shows at a time, every month, but because of Janmashtami, because all the devotees are busy preparing for Janmashtami, so they do 2 months at one time, 2 months before Janmashtami. So that time we get 2 months free. So, anyway, we'll see how it works out, but there'll probably be more. It seems that other TV channels also want to take it up, because it's popular and it's very good. So I may get more and more into that. And I want to do Bengali also, because that's also, Bengali is also one of the major languages of the world. Hindi is, how many people speak Hindi as a first language? As a first language, maybe 400 million people. And as a second language, maybe another 400 million. So it's quite big. I mean, it's more widely spoken than Croatian, that's for sure. And Bengali, maybe also like that, 300 million, 350 million. But it's all concentrated in Bengal, West Bengal, Bangladesh, Tripura, Assam. But I want to do that also. Very, very big preaching. So this is what I'm doing. But I'm thinking, because of between the writing and the preaching opportunities in India, that I may not travel so widely. This year I went, because I promised last year I'd go to the Czech festival for Janmashtami. And then I thought to come here and then I'd see my disciples in this area. And in between there was the Ukraine festival, so I went to that. And then I'm going to 2 festivals in Russia, and I'm going to a place in Russia which I promised last year I'd go to. And that's it for the summer. 2 months like that. But I'm thinking next year to maybe just like that, a few festivals. But from what I can understand, most of the gurus initiating in this area, they also only come like that, isn't it? For a few days. Apart from Sachinanda Ma, he spends more time here, isn't it? But it's like that for all. Sorry. You can also come. It's not so easy for you, but some of you came to India, to Mayapur. Some of you came. Yeah, I'm saying some of you already came. Mayapur festival was very small this year, actually. Very, very few devotees. They were saying because many came to Kumbh Mela, and then you can't stay on so much time. So maybe next year it'll be bigger. But the last few years it's been bigger because of the Russian, mostly because of the Russian devotees. So if they don't come, then the numbers really go down a lot. Anyway, let's see. I've been seeing that, I was thinking maybe I won't go next year myself. Maybe I'll celebrate Gaurapanim somewhere else. Because it's also good preaching opportunities in other places. So, before the end of the year, this Bhaktisiddhanta book should be published. I mean, it's just 1 or 2 editing questions, and then it's got to be proofread. But I can't, while I'm traveling like this, I can't access email to do there's just 1 or 2 little editing points, but I can't do it now. Maybe when I go to Ljubljana, but I'm waiting for that file to come. It didn't come. I don't know what happened with my editor. There was some phone call came from London. Who said about that?
I said. Mahajyoti called one devotee which he knows, and asked for, do you...
Where did he call?
Here.
Mahajyoti Prabhu wants to speak to you.
Nitya nastavi. I pitao je, čudio se, nije mi bilo jasno da Maharaj redovito odgovara na pitanje, jer par dana već nije dobio odgovor na ta svoja.
He's waiting for reply because he asked...
For email, yeah.
Yes.
Well, I was on email just the day I came here. But maybe I just send him a short reply. What about Nakshatri?
He told me this morning that he would like to come to the cycle meeting, and I told him that I will help him when it will be.
Then? Then?
And then I came here by car, and I didn't see him there, and I couldn't tell him to come. And I see he was there, so I showed him.
Yeah, you can call him if you want. So what? I'm supposed to call... Maybe one of you could call him and say, I'm here and I don't have access to... I probably could if I went to Pula, but it's half an hour's drive. Even if I could get on email, I still have a hope. You can tell him that on Wednesday I'll be going to Ljubljana. I can write... Or if it's urgent, I can speak to him on the phone.
He would like to speak to the phone.
Okay, well I don't have it. Do you have his number?
Yeah, but if you're in Ljubljana on Wednesday, so maybe I can phone him and just tell him to phone me there.
Well, I could probably call him from here also.
Yes, you have a telephone here on reception, and I think that you also can go on email here on reception.
Is it? Well, I don't have any. I have to get a... I don't have any login connection for Croatia. Someone would have to give it to me.
There are so many devotees here who are dealing with this. We can ask somebody.
You have, right?
No, I don't have here, but there is so many devotees.
You have one. It's only good for Rijeka, is it? Your connection?
I don't know what I have because I have devotees who arrange everything for me that I just press login and I don't know what happened. But I can ask somebody of them who are...
Yeah, if someone can give me, but I don't even know where's the time to even look at email. I logged in there in Ljubljana and I had 21 letters or so. I had a quick look. That's it. I didn't open my computer since then. But I replied to one, which was to Mahaduti Prabhu's letter. I just gave a quick 2-line reply. Anyway, you can, why don't you phone and say I can reply by email on Wednesday. I don't know in the next few days if I mean, I might get time. If I get time, it's nice to do a little reading. But,
Is it possible?
otherwise I can phone him.
Yeah. Or maybe you can say like certain time and then he can phone you back here.
Either I'll phone him or he phone me. But it should be, if there's a time, it's better. But tomorrow morning would be okay. Tomorrow morning, where to phone though?
I can give you my mobile.
Mobile.
Okay. Then you could phone, say, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Or I can phone him. You can phone from... No, better he phones, because then you'll be embarrassed to
And it's much cheaper to phone from England.
Is it?
Yeah, it's much
Oh, okay, tell him that. Why don't you phone him and then give that number? And say if he wants to phone, he can. Otherwise, on Wednesday or Thursday morning, I'll be on email. Like that. Yeah, the way things are going, I don't think at this camp I'm going to have much time to look at email. Actually, tomorrow morning I'm a little free. If I have people to meet, Punachandra Prabhu is supposed to meet tomorrow, we'll probably spend some time. Who else do I have to meet? You're here for a few days here.
When do you plan to arrive to the Jana?
Wednesday evening.
You're going to give the class?
I was thinking on Thursday morning I'd get the class. Because probably most of the devotees anyway, there won't be many. Most Ljubljana devotees would be here, isn't it?
Festival is ending.
Yeah, so they'll all be going back. I was thinking actually if I get there on Wednesday evening I'd look at my email.
Won't be crowded, there will be some people
Yeah, there'll always be some people, but...
Not in the evening.
Thursday morning, yeah. Do any of you have any of my books? You had some? You turned them all over?
Nismo sve dali knjige, yes, we all.
Does anyone? You don't have any? You also don't have any? They're all with you then, is it? Mostly Vangshi does. You have Ramayana, yeah. There are going to be quite a few books left over here. There's my memories. How many came?
I was thinking this morning it must be 100.
It's quite a lot, huh? It's a pity they didn't get brought to... I was thinking they could be brought to check and then... Anyway. We had some there. But also I could have taken to Ukraine. Alright. So... you have Ramayana, My Memories, Vangshidas, and there may be some other books left here. There are a few books like Rasikananda.
One rose, two roses.
Okay, well if any of you want to take, you can take for selling. Some of you have done. You may not have so much opportunity as you had previously. And then I'll take some also. I'll take some to Russia, some My Memories. We'll see. We'll see what's there when it's all. So you're going to keep the books for now, is it, in this area? You're selling where? Oh, you're happy here? Yeah.
Yes, at the stand.
And you also wanted to go on selling? How would you do that? Like at the Sunday feast program or what? Just to your friends like that?
My friends and Sunday feast and programs in Nitya Paravananda. He have programs on Sunday morning. And I said,
where?
In his home. He organized a program every Sunday in the morning. And he called other devotees to his home, and I have a little desk and I sell.
Where are you going? No, stay here. He's going to America soon, huh?
I don't know. He's not sure.
He's not sure. Depends on his getting a visa from there.
No, he's not sure because his guru told him that he must double his sum.
He must choose for himself what he wants. His guru told him that.
On se ne slaže, Maharaj se baš ne slaže za mene.
Maharaj is not happy with America. Not happy with America.
Yeah, he'll probably do better spiritually. He may do materially better there, but spiritually he'll probably do better here. Materially means you work hard and you earn money in America. But spiritually, yeah, it's a very hectic life. People have money, but they don't just pull it off trees. They have to work hard like anything.
Zato vedi, isto je Premantura Parananda rekao, ako trebaš to učiniti za guru, volio bi ako treba masaža, nam masira puno gura, pa treba, učinja bi nešto za njega.
Nitya Parananda Prabhu told that he would like to do some service for you if you need some massage.
Yeah, he tells, yeah. I hardly get massage. Well, I told you he was doing good service looking after you. That Vangshidas in Croatia, that there were, I took 11 books from Ripuha Prabhu. You know about that?
No, he didn't tell us.
So, you still have? You started off with the original?
We have 500 copies of Vangshidas.
Yeah, but where are they?
I think in Zagreb.
But on the book table now?
Yes.
Some of
You have a few. Yes. I took 11 from
You
Ripuha.
took 11 and we have.
You had some more also?
We have some more, yeah. And the rest is in Zagreb, I think.
You brought yourself from Zagreb?
No, Ripuha Prabhu brought.
I see. So you're working that out with him, huh?
Yes.
And I took one glimpses from Vishnumurti Prabhu.
Yes.
And you took more or what?
What?
You took more from him?
No, just one. That is
see.
on the table with other books.
That wasn't so.
I think not. Ona jedna, da. It is still on the table.
In Czech we sold what? 32 glimpses, something like that. It was the main seller there. Yeah, we had 15 on there. More would have gone if we had more.
No.
We finished what we had in Czech? Oh, yeah? Yeah, it's just...
One afternoon, like small people, not much people, 20 books. Just every second book a book.
Okay, anything else? Thank you for cleaning the room, putting the nice pictures. It's much better now.
I want to tell about that pictures that gave me Mahavishnu Prabhu. He made a nice prasadam here upstairs, so he said...
Which Mahavishnu? The Croatian original?
Yes,
he's here?
Yeah, he's up there, and he called it to honor the prasadam also.
Oh.
He gets all that pictures for your room.
Oh.
Yes.
I should go and see him. He's my old companion. We did so many BTG articles together. Yeah, I'll go and see him. Where's he living now? I'll see. Okay. Anything else? Who do I have to see? You have a list? Is Ripu Prabhu's name on that list? Yeah. Okay. So we'll finish there. Anything else?